Authorities in parts of flood-devastated Far North Queensland have been racing to restore drinking water for residents there. Towns like Mossman, Newell and Cooya Beach lost access because of damage to the water treatment plant as a result of that big flooding emergency we saw. I'm joined now by Michael Kerr. He's the Douglas Shire Mayor. Thanks so much for joining us on a Saturday afternoon late in the day. What's the latest on the water situation for residents there?
Well, the latest situation is we have got water flowing through all our pipes through the region, which is, great news for everyone, especially those tourists that are here at the moment, enjoying what Port Douglas has to offer. It certainly was a scary experience. We had a massive boulder that rolled into the inlet pipe and blocked it and stopped us from getting water into the system of the main plant that processes it. And of course, at the moment, we've got so much dust and all the dirt that's come from these landslides in the water, and the treatment plant itself is having difficulty in processing that. So it's slowing down the process, plus this blockage, plus we'd run out over just before Christmas. Multiple things have made us so that we had another day without water, unfortunately, yesterday. But it is all back on, it's running, and we do have water going into the system and through our taps, which is great news.
Yeah, that's great news. I'm sure the residents are so relieved to see that. We're just showing our viewers there some of the Mossman water treatment plant, how the workers were trying to get that fixed. How unprecedented is that sort of damage? Have we seen this sort of thing before?
Absolutely not. In the time that water plant has been there, we've never had a situation where a boulder's actually rolled into it because of the current of the water and blocked the intake itself. Normally, after cyclones or storms, we do have an issue where the water becomes too much dirt in it, and we have to, of course, then stop the processing plant. But we have the reservoirs that are usually full with at least 2 or 3 days worth of supply. Unfortunately, because this occasion we jumped straight from having no water, getting water back on, water stopping. There's nothing in those reservoirs as a backup to allow us to keep going whilst we fixed it. So unfortunately, we had to stop the water again and wait till we did these repairs. And you're seeing some of those landslips at the moment that are causing all these issues. They're just huge, and it's the whole way through. I've just spent today up in Dagara, where they have just been completely annihilated by the strength of this water and the amount of dirt and trees that it's moved, and in their case, houses as well have just disappeared from where they used to be. So it was a humongous storm, and we will be looking at the effects of this for many, many years.
How are the community holding up? I know it's always such a difficult time, the immediate event of these sort of natural disasters. The national spotlight is thrown on in a community, everyone wraps their arms around you. And then in the weeks after, there's still so much to get through, as the water difficulties we've just been talking about. How are people coping?
Most people, they're understandable that this has been a major disaster. It was a huge weather event, something that was unprecedented. It broke record levels of amounts of rain. In some places, 2.5 metres worth of rain in those days of the cyclone and the rain event. So most people are understanding. There are others, of course, that are upset that they didn't have water for a few days, but those people, I'll remind them of the ones, as I said, in Dagara, that have not only lost their homes, they've lost absolutely everything. And in some cases, they've lost a neighbour as well. So, it's an unfortunate circumstance up there. Wudjil, a small Indigenous area north of Douglas Shire. Again, there's a layer of mud throughout the whole of town. These people had to be evacuated. They don't have homes to go to. So in the big picture, I guess, we could consider ourselves to be lucky here in Port Douglas, because all we had was a shortage of power at one stage and a shortage of water. There's been so many areas that have been much harder hit, and we're really having to look after them on a mental level as well as a physical level.
For our viewers who are watching who are not there in Far North Queensland, how many towns are still cut off? I know the pictures of the landslides in parts were just incredible to see how much damage has been done cutting off roads into towns. Are there still people isolated?
Yeah, absolutely there are. So at the moment, the ferry is only allowing people to go in that live there or emergency services, because there's still a landslip that's north of Cow Bay. So that's blocking the area there. And there's a further blockage again. The Bloomfield track, there's so many slips on it. It's going to be a long time before that's even considered to be open. So the access to Dagara and Wudjil is only going to be via Cooktown for quite some time at this stage. And those residents in Cape Tribulation, we're having to really ensure that they're looked after, because they can't go north or south at this stage. And they're needing food, they're needing supplies, and most importantly is the businesses that are in the Daintree as well that currently have no tourism, no incomes therefore, and are still looking after staff that they certainly don't want to lose the staff they've got, because if they do, they're going to find it very hard to get more staff again for the next season. And, that's something that's really troubling them at the moment, is they've got to keep their staff.
Yeah, and how has the support been from the state and federal government? Do you have everything you need where you are? Is the cooperation up to speed?
Well, we've certainly had the visitation. I've had the Minister for Disasters, Nikki Boyd, here yesterday. I've had Minister Butcher here, the Water Minister. So certainly they've been helping out for us. I've also had a federal minister here as well. So they're coming here, they're seeing it firsthand, and that's really important. They know what they're talking about. So when they go back to Brisbane and Canberra, they can actually talk to the real situation and not just what advisors have told them. And I certainly know Minister Butcher on the ground today in Dagara certainly opened his eyes up to what the real situation is up here.
And as you say, for areas of the Daintree that have been cut off and they're not going to be able to get tourists in, I know one of the big messages we've had is that you don't want people to cancel if they've got their holidays. And we're hearing it as far down as the Whitsundays. People are cancelling when even they weren't affected. Are you still seeing people showing up? Is that held up, or are we still concerned about that?
Yeah, we are. We certainly lost some bookings, and that's understandable that people are fearful of it. But, we are still telling people. I know the Captain Cook Highway is still currently blocked off, but there is access via Mareeba. And now Mareeba is a wonderful region. It's the tropical fruit bowl of Far North Queensland and one of the best chocolate factories in Queensland there as well. There's the waterfall circuit up there. There's absolutely reasons to go via Mareeba into Port Douglas that way. So that's certainly not a reason. And of course, the reef boats are still going out. So, the water's under control at the moment. The reef boats are still going out. The sun is shining beautifully at the moment in Port Douglas. So I certainly say don't cancel. Ring up your hotel, see what your hotel says, because they've got the most latest up-to-date information.
You can almost be the spokesman for Tourism Australia, Michael. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us this Saturday afternoon. Much appreciated, and sending all our love and support to those up there doing it tough.